This is our 7-day zigzag trip through the west coast of South Africa, and what an amazing trip it was. Join us as we take you on a most amazingly scenic zigzag of this gorgeous stretch of paradise. With so much to see and such exceptional beauty. 95 Rand cold drinks and open air, beachside, 10-course meal restaurants. The only thing we planned was our accommodation. The rest was unplanned and spur of the moment. But come with us as we show you how we fitted it into 7 days, including getting a much needed repair to our vehicle. Our accommodation in St. Helena was great. We managed to book on early notice and our hosts were exceptionally helpful and accommodating when we arrived late on New Year's Eve. Seaview Guesthouse is a definite recommendation on our part. It had everything we needed, was private, safe and very clean. From here, on New Year's Day, we needed to eat but most everything in St. Helena was closed, but lo and behold, a signboard off to the left on a gravel road read Paternoster 15 kilometers, and that was us. The gravel road was great. I will go as far as to say better than some tar roads in South Africa. Once we arrived, we took in some of the scenery and made our way to the waterfront, which wasn't there the last time we visited. Paternoster has grown a lot. We checked out the art galleries and a tattoo parlor, some coffee shops and even a cool antique shop. After which we made our way over to Whale Rib Restaurant. The owner was dressed in a kilt and the service and food was great. Once we had our meal, the restaurant was getting very busy, so we left to continue our journey through the town. A word of caution: it was load shedding by then and the only garage and convenience store was closed. We ended up buying 3 cans of cold drink takeaway at the hotel, which set us back 95 Rand, so make sure you have drinks before you arrive in town, as during the holiday season you can pay a fortune for neglecting to prepare. We then took a drive through the Columbine Nature Reserve to Tieitiesbaai, which was packed with tents and caravans and seemed extremely crowded, unlike my fond memories of it in years gone by. We made our way back to St. Helena Bay via the Waterfront Yacht Club in Port Owen. The scenes there with the waterfront properties and yachts moored in the port were a beautiful sight. On our second day we ventured into Vredenburg in search of a camera lens, but most places were still closed due to the public holiday. We did breakfast at the Wimpy, and then stopped in at the Pixie and Ferry Village in Jacobs Bay. What a wonderful little village. A nice experience and so well laid out at a very reasonable price. Then off to the Plaasmol in Hopefield, where the famous Ratanga Junction aeroplane has found its final resting place. The mall has animals and birds, nurseries, coffee shops and interesting trinkets. I noticed a well-designed camping facility off to the left with newly built ablution blocks, power points, trimmed trees and a lot of shade, but for some reason it seemed almost abandoned. We found a road which looked less traveled in Jacobs Bay and took some photos of the bay and a short walk to the beach front. Day 3. We started off at our base accommodation in St. Helena Bay and traveled as far as False Bay and included Gordon's Bay, Strand and Somerset West. This part of the trip was totally unplanned but necessary, as we just had to buy a longer lens for our camera in Somerset, as the scenes we were missing without having it was bordering on unacceptable. We had lunch at Ocean Basket in Strand and the views of the sea made the seafood 10 times better and the service was good. Day 4 had us travel back to Vredenburg. Unfortunately, to do front brakes, we were helped by Vredenburg brake and clutch in no time. The owner Eddie was amazing. Even though he was busy, he fitted us in and we made an appointment for the Friday to do back brakes, and again the service was exceptional and the price very reasonable. A shout out to him and his team. We then touched base again and had coffee at the Ster Kombuis in St. Helena Bay and took a drive to Langebaan, where we did a quick tour of the Strandloper restaurant, situated on the beach, with a very lengthy buffet menu. Unfortunately, they only do meals with bookings, so we weren't able to eat here, but a definite must for our next trip. A very unique meal experience and something to put on your bucket list, if seafood is your thing. We ended up on the main beach in Langebaan. Just up the drag was Huskeys restaurant, where we devoured ribs and rump steak. Very generous portions, great prices, smoking section and a good vibe. Thereafter we stopped off at Langebaan launch site and watched the kite surfers. Langebaan is a kite surfer's dream. From buying the equipment, to renting it, to learning to use it, Langebaan is the place to be if that's your thing. We ventured to Stompneus Bay just outside of St. Helena Bay, a quiet little spot with good views and a gorgeous coastline. Day 5 took us to the West Coast Farm Stall in Yzerfontein with its little stalls for gifts and goods, where we purchased a few goods for friends as one does when away. Interesting stalls and a good hearty bacon and egg breakfast, exceptional coffee and a nice sized nursery. Then on to Yzerfontein. Unfortunately, the wind was howling on this day. We had coffee from a beach stall and drove around taking photos. I've got to be honest, this is one of the cleanest, safest towns ever. The community is proud of their town and rightfully so. It's laid out beautifully. with walkways along to beach and benches to sit and take in the amazing shoreline. Here we encountered something less seen and heard of in South Africa. Just off the main beach front is a trailer, packed with wooden prices for the wood, unmanned, just sitting there with a sign to say, "Buy on trust, take what you need and EFT the amount into the owner's account." We were blown away, and a part of us felt a sense of hope that this type of trust still exists in some places, albeit few and far between. Yzerfontein, you have my heart, and well done on your unique picturesque town. We would have loved to have a meal at Skafties in Yzerfontein, but had prior arrangements with friends for a braai in Langebaan, but a must do next time. Day 6 saw us at Vredenburg break and clutch, and we only had the afternoon free, although we spent the morning waiting for our car repairs at the West Coast Mall and did a wimpy breakfast and coffee. The mall is probably the biggest in the area and has almost everything one might need. We then ventured off to Velddrif waterfront and had lunch on a deck next to the river. The waterfront has some little shops, a tin can shop for unlabeled tin fruit and vegetables, a fishing tackle shop, and a good few restaurants. We ate at one of the many restaurants, another unique experience where your food is served in a shovel. Service and atmosphere was good. The food was pretty average, but the view of the river, the boats doing their boat trips, and the kids swimming in the river made for a nice relaxing afternoon. On the 7th day and our departure day, we stopped in Elandsbaai, took some photos of the awesome scenery, then toured the Meesbos Karam restaurant. The same concept as Strandloper and also booking only. Another thing to do on the next trip and a bucket list for seafood lovers. Then on to Lambertsbaai, where we stopped off for lunch at Mad Hatter's and tried abalone for the first time. We are hooked. Mad Hatter's food, atmosphere, service and little shop is a must-do. It was a good experience and definite recommendation. Unfortunately, we couldn't find accommodation with off-street parking beside the caravan park, which is well maintained and has jacked up security, so we decided to push on home. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe.